So we're live, so you can go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, so I should begin with the introductory notes that you gave me, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so good morning. My name is Kathy Laird, and I'm the chair of the nominating panel this afternoon for the Toronto Licensing Tribunal. The clerk has confirmed that we have quorum, so I'd now like to call meeting 3 to order. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Boy and Paul and Robin and Antoinette. Today's meeting is held by video conference. City staff are also connecting to the meeting by video conference. As City Hall remains closed, the public continue to participate electronically, and you can watch the meeting streaming live on YouTube at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. I ask everyone for their patience for any delays and technical issues. Before we begin, I want to remind you about the important health and safety measures we all must follow today. All participants have been seated 2 meters apart. Please stay in your designated seats. Do not change seats or sit in another member's seat. When entering, exiting, or moving about the committee room, you must wear a face covering. Sanitation kits have also been provided on the desktops. Attendance in the committee room is limited to only those persons who are required for the meeting. A number of the clerks, audio and visual, and IT staff are with us today. I would like to remind the staff to keep their mics muted with their videos turned off unless they need to answer questions or speak to the panel. This will make it easier for me as chair and for those watching on YouTube to observe members as they participate in the debate and vote on items. For those members who are joining us remotely, please keep your mic muted unless you wish to question staff or speak to an item, and ensure that your video is turned on. If any members do wish to speak to an item, please make sure your video is on and raise your hand, or unmute your mic and indicate your intention to speak, and I will create a speakers list. When voting, I ask members to make sure that your video is turned on and raise your hand to indicate your vote. Although we are in different locations and meeting remotely today, the panel would like to acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Chippewa, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 3 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? And if you do have a declaration of interest, please raise your hand and unmute your mic. I'll note that I do know a couple of the applicants, but not at the level that would raise a conflict of interest, and that's something we can discuss. Yes, Boyd?
Yes, I also know people who are highly qualified. Again,
Right.
It's not a conflict situation, just I'm aware of them from my professional life.
So when we go into closed session, we can identify those individuals and just speak to why it doesn't, in your view, apparently, and also in mine, raise a conflict. But we can do that in closed session.
Sure.
Okay, we need to confirm the minutes from our last meeting, which was on March 18th, 2019, now a lifetime away, I might say. Can one of you move that motion? Okay, I see. Okay, Paul is a mover. I'm raising my hand. There's none opposed, so that's carried. And so now we're going to go into closed session. Let me say that the item on the agenda requires a closed session. I'll move a motion for the panel to go into closed session on item NA 3.1, selection of candidates for the Toronto Licensing Tribunal. I'll ask the clerk to display the motion so that the members can see and proceed with the vote. Okay, so the motion is that the nominating panel, Toronto Licensing Tribunal, recess its public session to meet in closed session to consider the following item. NL 3.1, selection of candidates for interview to the Toronto Licensing Tribunal. The reason for confidential information is personal matters about identifiable individuals who are being considered for appointment to the Committee of Adjustment. Actually, it's not to the Committee of Adjustment, it's to the Toronto Licensing Tribunal. Okay, so I moved that motion. All in favor, raise your hand. And I'm raising my hand. So there's none opposed. The motion carries. So I'd like to ask the clerk to temporarily close the meeting to members of the public and to only provide access to members and appropriate staff for the closed session portion of this meeting. In addition, the YouTube live stream will be suspended until the closed session is over. And I'd like to just remind the members that you should arrange your personal surroundings so that no other person observes any part of the closed meeting. Okay, and so we'll adjourn, well, not adjourn, but briefly while this happens, and I will switch computers.
Antoinette, we can see your screen.
So Chair, I can confirm that the meeting is now in open session and that the meeting is now live streaming on YouTube.
Okay, we're now back in open session. The panel will publicly consider item NL 3.1, which has been considered in closed session. And I will move that well, someone else can move it. It's going to, the numbers are going to be on the screen. Would somebody else like to move the numbers?
I'll move.
Okay. But you may not have the wording there, but
Oh, here we are. We've got it now.
There we go.
oh, there you go.
Nominating Panel, Toronto Licensing Tribunal, interview the following candidates for appointment to the Toronto Licensing Tribunal. Candidate TLT 2116, candidate TLT 2114, candidate TLT 2120, candidate TLT 255, candidate TLT 2121, candidate TLT 2110, candidate TLT 236, and candidate TLT 2119.
Okay, all those in favor? Raise your hand. Okay, the motion carried. So that concludes our business for today. I thank you all and the staff, and we can adjourn the meeting. So I guess the meeting is now adjourned.
And Robin, remind me again when we meet to interview the candidates. Do we have a date for that?
2 weeks from today.
We do, yeah, November 17th, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, November
1 o'clock?
17th at 1 o'clock again.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank